Chapter number 3. Good-looking Southern man. In my era, people married young. These days, people in their early 20s are considered almost too young to make that lifelong commitment, especially if they have school to finish, or a job to advance themselves in, or even travels to take. But in the mid-70s, no one blinked an eye at a young girl of 20 with a year of college to finish, becoming engaged to be married. People did, however, blink an eye at the fact that my fiance had been married before, a brief union that was over almost before it began. Somehow, it didn't matter a whit to me that the man I loved had pledged his eternal commitment once before. That was clearly a mistake. While this is the real thing, I thought, anyone can have a lapse in judgment and then learn from it, right? My groom and I would be going into marriage with eyes wide open. I don't even remember meeting Jamie Spears. I was just a local boy. He was just a local boy who was always around, as far back as I can remember. Everyone in our small town talked about him because he excelled at basketball and football. He was the quintessential small town joke hero, good looking and popular, and he could have had his pick of girls in Kenwood. I do recall seeing him at the town swimming pool from time to time swimming growing up. He was 3 years older than me, though, so I'm sure he never paid that much mind. After I graduated from high school at St. Mary of the Pines, an all-girl Catholic school, I was an education major at Southeastern Louisiana University, about 45 minutes from Kenwood. One summer after my third year, I decided to take it easy on myself and not attend summer school. On a sweltering hot Louisiana day, I ventured out to take a dip in the town pool, and who should be there too? And who should be there too, but the darling of local basketball fans. Jamie used to draw crowds when he was in high school, as people from all around our area would come and see his average-sized guy run circles around huge ball players. Sometimes he scored 50 points a game. That day, Jamie and I got to talking, and soon enough his charms were having their desired effect. One thought buzzed around my brain as he talked. Suddenly, a long, hot, boring summer that stretched ahead of me looked like it had possibilities. After all, there are few forces on this earth as magnificent as a good-looking Southern man intent on recommending himself to the object of his attraction. By the end of that first little poolside chat, I had agreed to go to see Elton John in concert with him in New Orleans. Of course, Elton John was and is my favorite singer, so Jamie lucked out with the timing of that concert and had a ball. At the end of the show, I was dying to go out with him again, even though I had gone into the evening still meaning that I was not looking for a serious boyfriend. What first drew me to Jamie was how fun he was. He had such a fantastic time together, and he could always make me laugh. He knew I loved to dance and would take me out dancing every night. My parents weren't crazy about him at first, which made it a little bit sticky, to say the least. They were not impressed that had been married before, and they seemed to think I could do better for myself. What did they see from the vantage point of being long married. Major parents that I could not Major parents that I could not for the life of me see. But I fell but I fell head over heels in love anyway. Jamie and I on our wedding day with the justice of the peace. My parents came around after we were married. After all, what could they do? My dad especially warmed up to Jamie and ended up really liking him for the opens, friendliness and took work friendliness and good work ethic plus it was obvious how much Jamie loved me. This doesn't mean, however, that it was smooth sailing getting past my parents' objections. What we did to get past those objections was something out of character for Mama and Daddy's third child. Something they wouldn't have expected from a daughter who was usually complained and, and obedient, at least about the major issues. We eloped. Jamie was welder by trade. In those days, he would take 1, 2, or 3 month jobs at oil refineries all over the place. I was visiting him on such a job in Oswego, New York, when we decided to forego the traditional Kenwood wedding ceremony with white dress, flowers, church, and minister, and simply speak out vows on our own terms. I did wear a white dress. I borrowed bridal gown from a friend, and Jamie wore a handsome suit. But I didn't walk down any aisle to "Here Comes the Bride" with family and friends beaming in the pause, and my daddy didn't give me away. Instead, I gave myself away to Jamie as we spoke out tender, simply promises and to hold with a New York State Justice of the peace officiating. Beginnings. I got pregnant almost immediately after we were married, and my baby was born 9 months after our marriage, which I knew would set tongues gagging in our small town. That's one of the things I used to worry about. That my God's grace I don't so much anymore people's opinions. Little did I know that someday everyone from little old ladies in grocery store checkouts to teenagers browsing online gossip clubs would have an opinion about me and my family. Years later, when Brittany got pregnant so soon after she and Kevin were married, I knew enough about marriage and kids and the combination of the two to worry that it was probably too soon for a baby. But at the time when I was expecting my first baby, I so wanted to be a mother. I was I was ecstatic about Jamie, me and the baby inside my womb becoming a family. School, I figured, would be finished one way or another. When I look back, I don't regret planning a baby so soon into our marriage, when I had more than a year left of college. But on the other hand, I didn't have a clue what was to come. Our first year of marriage was really quiet, idyllic. We lived in Florida for a few months on one Jamie's jobs, and we also built up a nice little nest egg. One highlight of that period was meeting my friend Jill, who has walked with me the longest and through more passages than any other friend. She is married to Ricky Prescott, Jamie's best friend, who worked with him for years at various construction jobs. Jill is like my stronger twin sister. For 32 years, I have called her to pick her brain on my matter whatsoever, to laugh with her or to cry on her shoulder. In hindsight, I truly fell in love with Jamie during our first year of marriage. Now I loved him when we spoke our wedding vows, but I think that I felt then was more like infatuation, not a profound and abiding kind of love. Throughout that first year, though, our cup was full to the overflowing. What I didn't know then was that I would draw on that reservoir many times in the years to come until it was nearly empty.